This video has been sponsored by Bombas. Every once in a while, there are certain foods that I'm a little intimidated to touch, whether it's wanting to do certain recipes and foods justice, making sure to choose authentic versions of these recipes by great creators. And for a while, kebabs were on that list. That is, until recently. One of my favorite other food creators, Alex, did a whole deep dive into the history, the origins, and even the international variations of the kebab. So today, we're gonna follow his lead and do the same by testing out not only the recipe he landed on, his most attainable way to get an authentic kebab at home, and of course, also a few variations from some other creators that seem to be kebab powerhouses within themselves. I am very excited, so let's get right into this one. Now before we go kabaddi for kebabs, I've got a quick message from my friends over at Bombas. Bombas is a comfort-focused premium basics brand with a mission to help those in need. A little over a decade ago, their founders learned that socks are the #1 most requested item at homeless shelters. And since that day, their mission has been to not only solve that problem, but also create the world's most comfortable sock in the process. And as much as I love those running socks that I was wearing for basically every activity every day, my new recent obsession are these. These are my new rag socks that are made of premium materials. They are so warm and soft. They kind of remind me of how stuff used to be made. They're just so thick and warm and perfect for this time of the year. It's a type of quality that's just few and far between these days. And being that sock season and the holiday gifting season is upon us, look no further than Bombas for the ultimate everyone gift. From their fuzzy socks to the plush slippers to their gift boxes, which I am thrilled to have in my possession, I can't think of a single person who would be upset by receiving a gift from Bombas this year. And still, my favorite part is that one item purchased means another one donated by Bombas, so you can feel great about your purchase in more ways than one. So please, click the link in the top line of the description or scan the QR code on screen now to head over to bombas.com/David, and when you use my code DAVID20 at checkout, new customers will get 20% off of their first purchase. First up, I think we should start with the man himself and try Alex's traditional homemade doner kebabs. I grabbed a lamb roast and yogurt, za'atar seasoning and veal, a yellow onion, salt and pepper, and some flat lavash bread. First of all, before anybody leaves any angry comments, although this might be too late, don't think I'm suggesting Alex is like the end-all be-all of authentic kebab foods. He just has a knack for packaging information with entertainment in a really concise and compelling and well-shot way. So if you have not watched him or this series, I'll leave it down in the description. Please go give it a watch. And very simply, this mixture is going to be comprised of about 40% lamb, 60% veal that we cut thin, and then down in a pan, we add layers of those, alternating with some of the yogurt and onion marinade. And in my humble opinion, this preparation is genius because obviously, traditionally, you would have a massive cylinder, like, spit of meat that cooks vertically and spins like a vertical rotisserie chicken. And because that's unattainable to most of us, he makes this little weird Ed Gein looking lasagna and then wraps it up nice and tight in plastic wrap, sticks it in the fridge for a few hours to marinate, and then a couple hours prior to you using it, you want to stick it in the freezer to get it solid all the way through. Now, why would you want to do that? Because once you pop it out of your pan, it allows you to very easily cut nice thin slices, this time the opposite way that the slices of the meat were going in the lasagna, to hopefully get a nice even portion of both of your two meats in each and every slice. This gets cooked off in a cast iron, utilizing that extra lamb fat just render down beforehand, heating up your lavash bread in that same pan to pick up some of the flavors, and then assembling this beauty. This thing was simple, it's straightforward, it smells unbelievable, so let's give it a shot. I'm with it. I mean, as someone who has nothing to judge this against, I think this is very good. It's super tasty. The lamb is all up front. That's the predominant flavor. The onions are a really nice complement. It is pretty dry though, to be honest. I could have overcooked it. Maybe it's an issue with the freezing the meat technique. It is very good. I'll probably eat this whole thing, but it's about as good as a dry sandwich can be. But it is freaking tasty nonetheless, so let's see how the next few hold up. Next up, we've got another one that promises to be a perfect blending of authenticity and optimization for your average home cook. From Rafika's Kitchen, it is her beef Turkish kebabs. I grabbed olive oil and ground beef, crushed red pepper flakes, red onion, a red pepper, and salt and pepper, fresh garlic and dried red chilies, fresh parsley, some green chilies, and some more lavash bread. Going into this video, I was a little bit worried that approximately none of these recipes would be intriguing enough to the average home cook. Yes, the last one is possible, but it still requires a bit of specialty ingredient sourcing a whole day in advance to let that stuff marinate and freeze. Whereas this one seems to be as simple as they come and doable for just about anyone. I chopped up everything from all my fresh and dried peppers. I hydrated those red chilies in some hot water. And then, oddly enough, you chop everything into your chopped meat. I don't know that I've ever seen this before, and it does kind of skeeve me out doing this on my wooden cutting board. I guess this thing is kind of due for a good deep cleaning and a re-seasoning anyway, so at the conclusion of this video, I will get there. And then you just let that hang out in the fridge while you whip up your red onion mix. And pause. One of the most prominent spices, very often used in a lot of Middle Eastern foods, is called sumac. I was able to find it in my local store, but as I was reading up on it and learned that it is made from pulverized dried sumac berries and is in the cashew nut family, I got really scared and put it back. I'm just gonna skip it for this one, but have I ever eaten it before? I don't really know. Possibly. But after my visit to the emergency room a few months ago, after accidentally eating a peanut sauce, I have a heightened awareness and I'm just avoiding anything that could cause any problems. But if any of you out there have heard of this or have a nut allergy yourselves and have eaten sumac, please let me know. I am very curious. And after shaping and resting my skewers and trying to cook them on indirect heat, was it my meat mixture? Did I not pack it on the skewer right? Or do these skewers just not work? I don't know. The whole purpose of cooking them on indirect heat is to avoid getting a real crusty brown exterior and to allow them to cook more gently and retain more moisture, presumably, but there's not really much I could do now, so I just whipped one up with plenty of my onion mix, and let's just give this thing a taste. Could have gone better. Once again, really, really good. The flavors just punch you in the mouth. I love the heat level on this one. And although it might look a little dry, it is nice and juicy. There's actually so much beef fat that kind of rendered out of here and mixed with the onion juice. It almost kind of creates its own saucy condiment, if that makes sense. Would it have been better if the skewers worked out? Possibly. I'm not entirely convinced, only because just like a smash burger, that Maillard browning on the outside of the beef adds so much flavor, and you wouldn't have gotten that otherwise, but maybe it would have been so much juicier, it wouldn't have mattered. This is a good video. And rounding things out today from the Middle Eats channel, it is the Egyptian kebab. I grabbed a round pita bread and more yogurt, tahini, a yellow onion, ground lamb, cayenne pepper and cumin, a lemon, salt and pepper, some water, and some fresh parsley. Optionally, some fresh tomatoes if your heart desires, chopping them up and adding them as a topping. I, for one, do not, because I think that they would make this worse. So I wanted to include this one for a couple reasons. Honestly, it looks the best to me. I just feel like that meat looks so tender and juicy. But also, there was quite a few points in this video where this guy was, let's say, gassing himself up.
Now let's admire our handiwork for a moment. I don't think I've seen a video on YouTube with juicier looking kofta. It's literally oozing, and these are going to be incredible. If you want to make a sandwich, add some tahini to bread, top it with a sprinkle of parsley and a stick or two of kofta to turn this into one of the best grilled sandwiches of your life.
I like the confidence, but let's see what you're made of. The meat mix starts actually very similarly to the last one with plenty of spices, and you want to knead the hell out of it until you get those fatty strands forming, very similarly to a sausage, where you achieve that nice springy emulsified meat mix. You again let this sit in the fridge overnight to fully marinate and absorb all those flavors. The following day I whipped up the yogurt tahini sauce, which is the first and only condiment in this video, kind of surprisingly. And then unfortunately, this once again calls for a skewering situation to make matters worse out on the grill, or so I thought, because when I was thinking of different usages for the grill, I remember I had this grill grate, almost like a clamped basket that you can cook meats in over a fire or a grill. So I made my little koftas. I squished them down a little bit so they weren't as round. And then I just propped it up on a cast iron pan. And after I let it cool down for a minute, the outside looks phenomenal. And the inside looked even better and super juicy. So things are looking pretty promising. I just warmed up my pita bread. I slapped down a whole bunch of that good yogurt sauce, a couple of my lamb logs, and then some more fresh parsley. I feel like I'm coated in a layer of vaporized meat grease. Yeah, so this one wins. This guy did a lot of talking, but he backed it up because this is freaking good. The meat is my favorite yet. It is juicy. It's got a nice little crisp. That spice blend is on point. That sauce is delicious and complements it so well. And the bread is really good too. I feel like this keeps the spirit of the simplicity that it should have, but also nailing every single component. So I did not expect this, but if you were to make any of these today, I think this is the one. Either way, they were all delicious, and if you've got the means, try them all. Why not?
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.